Hello everybody, this is Hy from JacknHyatt. Welcome back to the video. Today I'm going to be doing a little review on Mechanix gloves, which is what I'm wearing right now. Now, why am I doing a review on Mechanix gloves? Because I'm a mechanic myself, and these gloves are literally made for the industry that I'm working in. And they're pretty cool gloves in general. And I just bought myself a brand new pair of Mechanix gloves, some thermal gloves, and I haven't tried it out yet, but I will be talking about them anyways. So I guess to kind of start off with Mechanix gloves, or talk about it at least, we'll start off with talking about the history of Mechanix gloves. Really, like, why do these even exist in the first place? There's already a video out there talking about, this exact topic, like the history of Mechanix gloves and why impact gloves even exist in the first place. That is a much better video than what I have here presenting to you. Go watch that video. So that's why I'm going to make the history kind of short. Long story short, back in like the 90s, a motorcycle mechanic wanted a better pair of gloves to use for when he was working on motorcycles. He wanted a glove that was a lot more durable, a lot more, I guess, breathable, kind of. I guess you could say breathable, yeah. A lot more durable, a lot more breathable, and something to kind of protect his hands a little better when he was working on stuff. Because, as a mechanic myself, I've had plenty of moments when I'm doing something with like a ratchet, and I'm just going at it, and then eventually something slips, and my hand just goes forward and punches the engine block or some other component, maybe like the axle or something. So impact gloves are a really good thing to have for that, specific reason. And that's the whole reason why these gloves exist in the first place, because this one mechanic wanted a glove that could do this, that could protect his hands while doing this kind of work. So he reached out to this motorcycle glove company who made professional, gloves for motorcycle riders for like races and stuff. And those gloves didn't last very long. They had a similar impact design, but it wasn't the same as it is now. And they didn't last very long. They didn't last them for shit. So, I think somebody who was working for that company actually split off and went to go do his own thing, which ended up being the Mechanix brand, and ended up making these gloves with the impact design on them. And they didn't just take off as a glove for like workwear glove for mechanics. It ended up taking off for all sorts of blue collar jobs, and it even took off for being in military use, because up until that point there wasn't really a tactical glove per se. I mean, yeah, the military had gloves that soldiers could use or other branches could use for their specific jobs, but they never had like an all-purpose, tactical glove that was pretty much perfect for being in a war-torn fucking environment where you kind of need to protect your hands a little bit from all sorts of crap. And that's what these gloves were. These gloves were designed to, kind of combat that idea of, I'm working in a really tough place where a lot of things could hurt my hands a lot and stop me from working. I need something to better protect my hands and give me maybe a little bit more grip. Because at the time, again, gloves like these didn't exist back in like the 90s, I think. Was when they started coming about, like the late 90s. So before that point, they didn't have, the military didn't really have tactical gloves that could fulfill this role that this glove could fulfill. And neither did other blue-collar jobs, and mechanics specifically. They couldn't do this. They didn't have gloves that could do this. They may have had gloves similar, but nothing anywhere close to the quality of a mechanics glove, or the durability, or the design of it. And so now in like the 2000s, this style of gloves started getting popularized, and now we have this as a very common, you see it everywhere type of thing. Like you see it on, blue collar workers, you see it on military use, you see it for all sorts of things. And even, law enforcement uses impact glove designs too. And nowadays you also see a lot of other companies that do similar things that make impact gloves as well, not just Mechanix. Which is where I'll kind of talk about my own experience with these gloves. So, these are the very first gloves I've ever bought. These are the first working gloves I've ever bought. These are the first Mechanix gloves I've ever bought. They were like $20, I think, when I bought them. They're good gloves. I have to say, these are good gloves. These are a medium-sized Mechanix impact design glove. And honestly, I mean, I've been using these pretty much since day one. I used to be a cart pusher for a store, and you know, when you're working outside, you're pushing carts, you're gonna want some kind of workwear to kind of protect your hands a little bit, because you know there's big metal cages that you push it around all day pretty much, and you know if you accidentally punch something, you know you want to protect your hands, right? And these are durable. They last for not forever, but they last for a pretty decent long time. I've done a lot of work in these things, and they're still fairly clean, which is weird considering how much stuff. But I also haven't been doing any mechanic work in these. I've been just doing miscellaneous like house stuff with them nowadays. But when I first bought these, which were originally for pushing carts, but now I just use them for like carrying wood or carrying propane tanks, just miscellaneous stuff that you do on the regular, really, you know. But that being said, I have another pair of Mechanix gloves not here with me currently. It's currently at my place of work, you know, the shop, because I'm a mechanic. And those gloves, I bought them because the company that I work for provides impact gloves already, but the gloves that they provide, in my opinion, they're not good. I don't like them. Their impact design sucks, start off with. And this is not a gripe of the company. This is the gripe of this brand specifically. Their impact design is weak. Like this, I could sit here and just punch a steel beam with these gloves and I'd be perfectly fine. I go punch a steel beam with those gloves, on the other hand, it's going to probably break my fucking hand. And I don't like that. So, you know, naturally, because of stuff like that and those gloves tend to wear out, or not really wear out, but they, you know, once after like they like break in, is what I'm trying to say. They break in after like maybe 2-3 days of work, and I haven't had any of them develop like holes or anything, opposed to like a Mechanix glove. I've had one pair of Mechanix gloves develop a hole in the fingertips, which is fine because I was already planning on cutting off the fingertips on that glove anyways, because the other Mechanix glove that I bought, the other pair, I bought them for the summer specifically, which I kind of planned to cut the tips off anyways. That, and also that design of Mechanix gloves specifically, whenever I would like make a fist, it'd feel like that the impact was pulling the rest of my hand back, and it hurt a lot, long story short. Which is fine because it was in the summer, so fingertips get cut off anyways, so now I have a little bit more dexterity opposed to just wearing the full glove, right? Believe it or not, it actually really does help a lot. It makes a really big difference, surprisingly. But this design's a little bit better in my opinion. This design is perfect. This is a perfect glove in my opinion. It's just, if it didn't wear as quick as me, I got some wear like right around here-ish where the impact's kind of getting pulled up a bit. But that's neither here nor there. That's just from use, you know. These have lasted me fairly long, surprisingly. But anyways, another thing to, I guess, point out that other design is, that other design, it's not built the same, it's not built the same. I'm pretty sure it's already made that point. It's not, it's the, I don't know if they have any specific names. It was that design that's like, it's black with the dark gray impact on top, and it's got like some red lines here and there. I don't know what model it is, if they have names for the models or not. But it doesn't have, it has patches, palm patches like this one does, but it doesn't have the same grip palm patches like these do, because these are like a rough type of grip style that kind of helps you, you know, keep a grip on things. Go figure. Opposed to the other one, which were soft. These are rough. So yeah, these cause more friction, which helps you, you know, hold on to something a little better. Those, my hands slip off things all the time wearing those things, which is fine because I had them for dexterity anyways, and for the occasional punching the engine block by accident. But anyways, so with that being said, comparing that pair to the pair that we're given for free at workplace, honestly, I'd still rather have the Mechanix glove. Even though the Mechanix glove wore out on me quicker, I would still prefer that because, I mean, actually, I'm going to take that back because both designs sucked. Because, so one of the biggest problems with gloves for me, I struggled to find gloves that fit my hand perfectly. These are medium-sized gloves. They fit my hand perfectly. The ones that we use at the shop that are given to us for free, a large is too big for my hand, but a medium is too small. We don't have anything in between. For the Mechanix glove, the one I bought for my job, I don't remember what size it was. I want to say it was a medium, but these are a medium. These fit perfectly. These fit perfectly. These are also mediums. They fit perfectly. But I may have bought a large thinking that my hands were a large size. So I'm thinking about the gloves in the shop when I was buying them. How the mediums didn't fit because they're too small. So maybe that's probably what it is. It's probably a large pair, so that's probably why it was too big for my hands. But I have to say, I'm not buying that design ever again because that design, it was a pain to wear. There's a reason why I'm not wearing them anymore. But yeah, so, but all this is to say that overall, my experience with Mechanix gloves have been pretty good. I like them. They're definitely, in my opinion, one of the best gloves on the market if you're looking for, you know, a good impact glove. And with these thermal gloves that I have that I just got this past week, or I just got today really, these gloves, they're roughly the same price. I bought them off Amazon, so they're a little bit more expensive than I would have just gotten at a grocery store or something like what I did with these. But these, so far, I haven't done any work in them just yet, which I'm about to because it's getting cold outside. Whole reason why I bought these. But yeah, I mean, if I were to put them on right now, I mean, it's a little tight, which is all right. Keep it tight, you'll be all right. But yeah, they're fairly warm. They're actually, they are fairly warm. They are a thermal glove. They're not rated for like freezing temps or anything. Just for like when it's kind of cold outside. It's like, I suppose like maybe 50 to 40 something degrees. You know, the bare minimum of cold when it's cool. That's what the packaging says they're rated for. But something I didn't really expect is, well, one, I didn't expect these to fit me so well, like how these do. They literally fit my hand exactly. I love it. It's great. They're medium sized. Perfect. Another thing that I've noticed is that this has some rubber patching on it, on the palm and on like the inside of the thumb, inside the pointer. I've noticed that, and obviously it's for the same reason as these. It's to help you, kind of grip things a little bit. It's just a little bit better. It's designed for working in the cold. Obviously, they're thermal gloves. Duh. But that point aside, another thing they also have is that these have the typical modern whole, touchscreen design, fingertip design for your thumb and your pointing finger. I like how most impact gloves do. Hell, these are technically able to do that, or well, they are able to do that. Honestly, they don't work that well. I'm going to be real, they do not work that well. The whole touchscreen capabilities of the fingertips, not that great. Not that great. But I will say, these gloves are definitely a little bit more comfortable to wear than these ones are, despite the fact that these also fit me perfectly and they are fairly comfortable. These gloves are a little bit more comfortable. They, like I said, they already fit my hand perfectly. That's already 1 point up, I guess, for both. But on top of that, they're not as bulky because they're not an impact design, so obviously not going to be as bulky, but it just, my hand feels a lot more like you can move around. Like these have a lot of free play in them already as is, but these obviously without the impact design makes them way better when it comes to, you know, moving my fingers around and so on and so stuff. But yeah, no, I'm excited to work in these and really see how good they really are when it comes to working. I've seen some other reviews of these specific gloves, and they weren't really the greatest reviews, I'll say. Or no, my bad. Sorry, let me rephrase that. They were actually really great reviews. Anything from a 4 to a 5 star. But what I say wasn't really that great. I mean, like, there was this one review I saw where this guy, he gave a sarcastic review. It was a satire review. It was sarcastic. It was mocking the glove because it wore out on his fingertips really fairly quick. Well, yeah, of course it's going to wear out a little quicker. These are a soft glove design. They're not really meant for being super durable. They're really meant for the winter. Or not for the winter, for like cool-ish. So like maybe working in like a fucking freezer or something like that, or working in a shop per se. Not for like working up in the Great White North. In that case, they have impact design thermal gloves that I almost buy that you could use for like construction work. You know, like these, I'd rather use these outside in the cold than use these. But luckily I work in a shop, so even though it's still going to be cold inside the shop, I don't really need the impacts unless I'm working on some like tires. Then I might want the impacts. But in any case, yeah, my point in case being in all this is that these are pretty decent gloves. I like them. They, I give these not a 10 out of 10, or I give Mechanix gloves in general not a 10 out of 10, more like maybe like an 8 out of 10. They're a really good glove, and I really highly recommend them, especially in comparison to some other brands. I recommend them more than I would recommend. I don't even know the name of the other brand. I don't even know what it's called. I'd have to look it up later, but I'll probably post it in like a photo of it in the fucking video. But yeah, point in case being, it's definitely better than some other brands out there, and of course they're going to be better than most brands. They were the original brand. This is the original brand of impact designs and most like heavy duty workwear gloves in general. But yeah, with all that being said, that's all I really had to say. If you're looking for a good pair of impact gloves, I highly recommend Mechanix, and then obviously I just recommend Mechanix as a glove brand in general if you're not looking for impact gloves or workwear gloves in general. So yeah, that has been everything from me, and this has been a glove review, workwear glove review, and yeah, I guess I'll just see you guys next week. Have a great day.